Today I'm going to talk about anthropometry. Anthropometry is that branch of science in which we take measurements on human body. The term anthropometry is composed of two words, anthropos and metri. Anthropos means man, metri means measurements. So the term simple meaning is measurements on man. We take numerous measurements on man. The purpose of taking the measurements on man is to show variation, as it is one of the most important features of anthropology. Body measurements play a very vital role in the study of anthropology. They are needed for studying growth and development of children right from the birth onward till adulthood. The body measurements are not only required for studying growth, they are required for identifying individuals for various sports events. For example, a person who's very tall can be a best athlete for basketball. A person with longer legs can be a very good short distance runner. A person with shorter legs can be a very good long distance or cross country runner. Like that, we take these measurements and make use of them for identifying individuals, for studying growth and development, and trying to find out what kind of ailment a person is suffering from, and to know at what particular stage the different factors that affect growth of a person. We take individuals into consideration, measure the masses of individuals at the same period of time, categorize them into different age categories to find out whether the children of a particular age group in a country are comparable with that of another country, whether the children of American origin are taller at age 10 than the Indian children, or the African children, or the European children. So this is one of the most significant features of taking body measurements on individual. In this module, we are going to take certain body measurements and show how they are taken and what is the significance of these measurements. The first measurement that we will be considering for this module would be height, vertex, or stature. The second measurement would be sitting height, vertex. The third measurement that we will consider is body weight. The fourth measurement is biacromial breadth or shoulder breadth. The next measurement is upper arm girth, and the last measurement is calf girth. These measurements would be demonstrated one after the other on these students who are here as subject. Now we are going to take the first measurement, that is standing height vertex. It is also called as stature. Now stature is obtained between the standing surface and the highest point on the head. Highest point on the head is somewhere around this region, and this is called as vertex point. As per the definition of vertex, it is the highest point on the head in mid-sagittal plane when the head is oriented in eye-ear plane. Eye-ear plane is that plane in which the point orbitale here at the base of the eye and point tragion at the tragus cartilage of the ear are to be in the same horizontal plane. So we adjust the head of the subject in such a way that these two landmarks, when joined with a line, arbitrary line, they are parallel to the ground. And after doing so, we make the person stand in such a manner that the heels are kept together, the heels are touching the back wall, the buttocks are in the same line, and the dorsum, back of the chest, is also on the same line. After placing the individual in that position, we ask the subject to keep the hands straight, stretched, pulled down, and then take the instrument, that is anthropometer. This instrument is known as anthropometer, and it is composed of 4 different segments. It has a slide carrier, and this is a crossbar. Now crossbar, and this moves upward and downward. It is calibrated in two ways. One is ascending scale and the other is descending scale on the other side. Its assembly has already been explained in another module, so I'm not going into the assembly part of this instrument. Now while taking this measurement, we adjust the anthropometer rod and then place it in front of the subject concerned, and in such a way that it is kept in between the toes and in such a manner that it is parallel to the mid-sagittal plane of the body. And after it is placed in this manner, the crossbar is slowly brought down to come and touch the highest point on the head, that is vertex. And once it touches, we see that it is firmly in contact with the skin of the individual, and then at this window we make a record of the measurement concerned, that how much is the height of the individual whom we are measuring. Now in her case, the height works out to be 152.2 centimeters. So this individual is 152.2 centimeters tall as far as her height is concerned. Now this is the second measurement. We call it as sitting height vertex. Now in case of sitting height vertex, it is measured from the sitting surface to the highest point on the head. So this table acts as a sitting surface, and the highest point on the head is the vertex, and it is the same point which we considered for measuring standing height vertex. The definition remains the same. It is the highest point on the head when in median sagittal plane, when the head is oriented in eye-ear plane. And again for that, we adjust the eye-ear plane of the subject. See that he is sitting in this manner, his back is straight, his legs are kept in this manner that the knees are in contact with the angle of the table. His lower legs are hanging downward straight, his feet are placed at right angles to the lower leg. Now after seeing this position, the hands are placed on the thighs in this manner, and the subject is asked to stretch his body upward, stretch up. And this is how we make the person sit in such a way that his body makes a right angle with the thighs make a right angle with the lower leg, and the lower leg make a right angle with the feet. So this one right angle here, another right angle here, another right angle here. So that is the standard position of a subject. Now we take the anthropometer rod. Now in this case, we take the lower two segments of the rod, and the slight carrier in which the crossbar is placed is taken into consideration, because if we have the entire anthropometer rod, all the four segments, it will touch the ceiling. So our requirement is only this much, so we remove the upper portion. Now we place this instrument at the back of the subject in such a way that the rod is coinciding with the median sagittal plane, and after ascertaining its verticality, we bring down the crossbar and get in touch with the highest point on the head, that is vertex, and then read the observation in the window right here, as we did for height vertex. Now in his case, the value of the sitting height comes as 85.4. 85.4 centimeters is the sitting height of this individual. Now, while taking this measurement, the precaution which is needed is that he should not tilt his head downward or upward, because by tilting the head, if he tilts his head downward, the vertex point will shift here instead of being in the center. Or if he tilts his head like this, the vertex point will shift in the anterior side of the head. So this is not required. The person has to be sitting in such a way that his head is oriented in eye-ear plane, as demonstrated in case of stature. Now the third measurement that we take is body weight. Body weight is taken as overall mass of the body of an individual. Now this is a very essential measurement basically. It's required at many places where we need to know how much weight is there in our body. Now body has a weight from bones, body has a weight from flesh, muscles and the like, the soft tissues. Body weight is taken for an individual with minimum possible clothings. Now in Indian circumstances, this becomes a little difficult to go for minimum possible clothing that is only in the undergarments. It's quite difficult because of our cultural habits. So what we do while taking body weight is that we measure the weight of an individual with least clothes that he or she is wearing, and then subtract the average weight of the clothes of the individual. For example, this gentleman is wearing a pair of jeans, a jersey and socks. Now the average weight of the jeans would be approximately 1 kilogram, the jersey would be something like about 700 grams or so, the socks would be about 100 odd grams. So it would be approximately, if we deduct 2 kilograms from the weight observed from the weighing machine, which is called as a spring balance, it would give nearly the actual weight of the person concerned. Now what we do is, before we start taking the body weight of an individual, there is a scale, and then the scale we make an adjustment of the zero and see whether the zero is coinciding with the pointer or not. Now once we move the scale up and down and see whether it is coinciding with the zero or not, it is to be checked by pressing the machine and see whether it's any adjustment needed or it is perfectly matching with the zero. Then we make a person to stand over with both his feet across by the either side of the scale, and then standing in front we make an observation and see the weight observed for this gentleman is 63 kilograms. Now out of the 63 kilograms we remove 2 kilograms, his actual body weight would turn out to be 61 kilograms, which can be recorded for, and this is taken as an average, the standard method, because all over the world the same method prevails where the excessive weight of the garments is negative or it is reduced from the observed weight to know the actual weight of the subject. Now we are taking biacromial breadth, which is also called as shoulder breadth. Shoulder breadth is obtained between two acromion points. The point acromion is located at the spine, where the spine of the scapula, which comes from this side and it moves forward here, it's the most lateral point on the acromion process. So when we trace it from here backward, there is an angle of the spine, and from here it moves forward, and we take the centermost point and put a mark over the point on, say, the left shoulder. Now we turn the subject on the other side and see for the acromion on the right arm. So we are following the same spine of the scapula, moving forward and coming and marking the point acromion as the most lateral point on the acromion process of the right side. Now after both these acromions are marked, what we do is we make the subject stand in this position and take the instrument, which is rod compass. Now rod compass is an instrument which is composed of the uppermost segment of the anthropometer rod. Now it has both these crossbars fitted in it, and when we take it, their extension is equal on either side. So both of them are equally extended forward, and it is like a sort of an enlarged caliper. Now we hold this instrument in this manner, that our fingers are at the base of these crossbars, and this movable arm is at the wrist so that it can be moved forward and backward by the wrist movement. Now what we do is we touch the marked acromion point. Now this is how normally in case of females we take the measurement from behind. Now one set of scientists recommend that the measurement should be taken from back because it doesn't obstruct. Another group of scientists recommend that the measurement could be taken from the front also. So depending upon the constitution of the body of an individual, the measurement could be taken from back or from the front, as the case may be. take the observation after touching at this level. This is the point where the observation is to be recorded, because we are using the descending scale of the rod compass. It has ascending scale on the opposite side, which moves upward from 0 to 200, and this is moving from top to bottom. It goes up to the second segment where it goes up to 95 centimeter. It can be measured. The distance recorded for this individual's biacromial breadth is 37.2 centimeter. Now this reflects that the breadth of the shoulder in case of this individual is this much. In general, what we observe is that the females have relatively broader hip breadth as compared to the males. Males have broader shoulder breadth and the narrow hips. So if we see a person from a distance, what we observe is the males have broader shoulders and the hips are narrow. In case of females, the distance between the shoulder breadth and the hip breadth is least. It's very minimal. So that's why they have a shape something like the narrow, relatively narrow shoulders and broader hips. So that is typical of a female body, and we can recognize an individual from a far off distance that this individual happens to be a female and that individual happens to be a male. Now this is one of the significance of this particular measurement. We are going to take the calf circumference. Calf circumference is taken at the maximum development of the calf muscles of the lower leg. The lower leg has a typical kind of shape, that is, it has much improved or much protruding muscles at the back side, and the front is almost straight and vertical. Now this portion has the maximum development, and as we go down, it tapers down and it becomes narrow and narrow. And finally we reach the ankle portion. Now it is to be taken slightly below. This is the knee joint here, and it's taken a little below at around this area. Now what we do is, while taking this particular measurement, we put the measuring tape around and move it slightly up and down to see where we get the maximum value, because the purpose is to take maximum circumference of the calf. Now this maximum circumference of the calf, and when we take the skin fold thickness of the calf region, and it's called as the medial calf skin fold. Now these two are quite useful in assessing the nutritional status of an individual, because through this we can find out how much fat is there at this particular region of the calf area. Now some people have more developed calf, some people have less developed calf. The females have more of fat, the males have more of muscles in that. So accordingly, the fold which is there in case of females is much greater as compared to that of the males, because males, because of the excessive walking or running and other physical activity, their muscle, this fat gets converted into muscle, and that's why this area is much stronger in case of males, and it is less stronger with more of the fat inside in case of the females. So this is how we discriminate between the male and female. Now while taking this particular measurement, we put the tape around the area and see how much is the maximum value that we are getting. Now we place it here, observe the observation, then put it a little down and then see the observation, because from the side it's very difficult to see which area is most developed. So we take one observation here, another observation little below, and then slightly upward. So whatever is the maximum that we record, and once we take a observation of that, now it comes to, in this case, 38 centimeters in this region. This is the area which has been measured. This is the it starts from 1 centimeter, and this is the 38 centimeter mark right here, and that's the area of the calf muscle in case of this gentleman. So that's how the variation in case of the calf region can be assessed. Next measurement is upper arm circumference. The upper arm circumference is taken midway between acromion process, which is located here when we were taking the shoulder breadth, and between the elbow tip. Now we take these 2 points into consideration and mark the midway position here. The midway comes around this period. Put a small mark here, and then we place the tape around this position, and record the distance here. It comes in her case as 26.1 centimeter. It is to be taken when the arm is hanging on the side, slightly away from the body and not in a tense position. Now this particular measurement helps us in understanding the nutritional composition of the body, because the body fat is inside. If we take the skin fold caliper at the triceps level, so this is the tricep level at the back of the arm, and we have the bicep level at the front of the arm. At the same place, both these measurements of skin fold are taken into consideration, and with the help of these, we can assess the nutritional status or the nutritional condition of the individual concerned, because it gives some idea about the nutritional status of a person concerned. So these measurements which are shown here are quite important from anthropological standpoint, they are quite important from the clinical standpoint, they are quite important from the identification standpoint, and from studying growth of an individual, how individuals are growing from one stage to another, and how children, when they reach the adolescent age, show variation, and when the adolescents become adults, the sex differences between male and female are highlighted in the body, in the morphological structure initially, and subsequently it is reflected on their skeleton. So these measurements are an integral part of anthropological study almost everywhere in the world. Thank you.